We're so glad to have you because of all of the work you've done on this topic. My colleague Claire Healy and I looked through thousands of documents, including Smithsonian documents and correspondence from Alice Hrdlička's papers, and interviewed more than 4 dozen people, including Smithsonian officials and experts like yourself, so that we could learn more about this human remains collection, particularly the brain collection. The Smithsonian Secretary, Lonnie G. Bunch III, has apologized for the way that many of these remains were collected in the past, but also said he hadn't really known about the brain collection until about 2022, when he was able to adopt an ethical returns policy for the Smithsonian. Why do you think it's taken so long for more people to know about this collection?
Well, call it social Darwinism or eugenics. This kind of white supremacist science was the mainstream of American science and Western science in the first half of the 20th century. It still wafts into our contemporary research and theory. And so there's a kind of, I think, denial. I've been writing about Alice Hrdlička and the Smithsonian since the 1980s. And often these long and thorough and substantive reports in peer-reviewed journals have been ignored by my colleagues, and they keep writing other histories that, paint a gloss on the research as though scientists are separate from their society, which they are not, which they cannot be. And so these collections, put in a critical context, demonstrate how science was used as the evidence to authorize white supremacy, fallacious evidence, cranial measurements that were meant to represent human intelligence, but that correlated with height only. That was the sort of props used by legislators in support of Jim Crow, in support of immigration restriction. It is the same science the Nazis used. The Nazis obtained their ideas in large part from the United States. It was this network of Western science that was controlled by white people, white men mainly, and what they could understand was a way of looking at the inequities of our society as though they are natural, to make whites innocent. And so perhaps it is the continued desire to even retrospectively have white people be innocent of the inequities, and in science of the subjectivity and the questionableness of the kinds of things they did. I would say right off, this is not unlike DeSantis and the bill he's been pushing in Florida, so that all white people should be excused. Children should not learn the actual past, because the past is what makes us. And without looking at it, the influences on the present, whether it's the influences of slavery and Jim Crow on the condition of African Americans and the privileges of whites in the case of DeSantis, or our understanding of those conditions in the case of this kind of anthropology that would naturalize racial differences in everything. That has ideological significance. That is something that works for some, but not for others. And so they don't want to be revealed.